Middleweight bout, Denis Tiuliulin coming in against Christian Leroy Duncan. Denis Tiuliulin stepping in for Cesar Almeida, so he's coming in on short notice. We don't have a lineup yet because this fight just got announced yesterday, but Denis Tiuliulin hasn't had the best UFC career. Christian Leroy Duncan coming off his first career loss to Armen Petrosian. Maybe just a spot where Denis Tiuliulin's got to take the fight to maybe save his job. He's 1-3 in the UFC. His only win is to Jamie Pickett. Last time out, gets Gregory Rodriguez, gets absolutely smoked in the first round. Arguable that it was an elbow to the back of the head, but either way, gets finished in the first. It's probably do or die time for him. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, honestly, I think this is a better matchup for Christian Leroy Duncan. I think he was in for a long night against Almeida, who is well-rounded. He showed on the Contender Series, who could strike really well and grapple a little bit. But with Denis Tiuliulin coming in on short notice, I think this is a spot where Denis Tiuliulin thought he needs to take any opportunity the UFC gives him. He's probably on a chopping block. If he wouldn't have taken this fight, or if he's takes another loss with the full camp. But the fact that he's got an opportunity to come out here and save his job, I guess you could say. I think he's going to be fired up, and he's going to come out hot in the first round and just try to end this thing, on short notice, less than a week. But if he can't do that inside the first few minutes, I think this is Christian Leroy Duncan kind of taking his time, staying composed, and outstriking him on the feet. As Denis Tiuliulin gets tired, I think Leroy Duncan has a chance to put him out or put him down and then find the finish from there. I'm not big on Denis Tiuliulin. I never really have been. Only win in the UFC, like you said, Jamie Pickett. Doesn't say a whole lot. He does hit hard. He's got some good striking, especially early in fights. We've seen him hurt opponents, but he gets hit too. And when he gets hit, there's a lot of times he's fallen down to the canvas. Christian Leroy Duncan in his last fight against Petrosian, underwhelming as can be. A lot of people were high on him, and he came in there. And I know Petrosian's a good fighter, and that's a tough matchup, but he just didn't look comfortable in there at all. So, I think he gets the win here over Tiuliulin. This should be, he should be thanking the UFC for giving him Tiuliulin, because I think against his original opponent, Almeida, it was a bad matchup for him. This one survived the first minute and a half. It's a little more favorable.
Yeah, Tiuliulin, his real downfall has been the ground game. He's been rear naked choked twice in the UFC, and then last time out gets put in mount, and he's just kind of done after that. His only win was when he was able to actually stand with a dude. And in this one, I don't think CLD is going to take the fight to the ground. So I guess that opens up Tiuliulin a little bit in that aspect, that will have like a little bit more of a chance against, another striker. CLD uses a lot of explosive movements, a lot of flying knees. The striking is kind of unorthodox. It's not your normal 1-2 leg kick, stuff like that. It's a lot of, athletic movements. He's a pretty good athlete. So maybe that throws off Tiuliulin a little bit. He's a little bit more, your classic style stand-up guy. But I think CLD with the movement should be able to attack the holes with Tiuliulin. Tiuliulin's a little bit more flat-footed and probably a lot slower. So I think CLD probably goes in there. Maybe finds a finish, but either way, should be able to get a win. The only thing is, we haven't really seen him at this level. His only win in the UFC was an injury to Dusko Todorovic, and then he had the loss to Petrosian, and he didn't look very good in that one. So CLD, what do you think the line's going to be? I think CLD will probably be like minus 250, honestly, because Tiuliulin just hasn't looked good. And I think CLD with the full camp at minus 250, I think is probably pretty accurate. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say around minus 300. Nothing crazy, though, just because of how CLD looked in his last fight. But the downfall is, for odds makers, I think what they're going to see is Tiuliulin has been finished in the UFC. He's had trouble finding a win in general. But at the same time, he's coming in on short notice. And, CLD is a decent striker, and he hits hard, and he showed in the past, especially, in Cage Warriors and stuff, he's crafty, and he can put guys out. So I think that's probably what the books are going to be expecting here. I was going to say minus 300.
Yeah, so probably somewhere in that range, but he'll definitely be the favorite, and he'll be the pick for me.